Hare Krishna, I'm Anuttama. I've recently had a series of synchronicities that have led me to come to the understanding that Krishna and Srila Prabhupada want the devotees to unite together and come up with a plan to oust the book changers. Srila Prabhupada left his copyrights in a trust, and the idea of a trust is to protect the valuable property that's being held in the trust. What happens is the trust property, in this case Srila Prabhupada's copyrights, become the property of the trustees. But the trustees have the responsibility to use the property in accordance with how the grantor, Srila Prabhupada, instructed, and use it for the benefit of who's the people who are named as the beneficiaries. In this case, with the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, Srila Prabhupada named his society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, as the beneficiary of the book trust. And he also instructed that the profits made from printing and selling books to the temples would be used to be put into a building fund. And the building fund would be available so that when devotees had a project that they wanted funded, such as a farm project or a temple, or even if a temple needed to be repaired, that they could apply for a grant from the book fund, and the trustees would review the application, and if the requesting party was acceptable, they would be able to receive some of the money from Srila Prabhupada's books to be able to continue Srila Prabhupada's mission of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. But we can see the trustees haven't been quite living up to their fiduciary responsibility, have they? I recently did a little bit of investigation and discovered that the amount of money that they report coming in doesn't match the number of books that seem to be going out. Additionally, nobody has seen any money for a building fund go to anything other than the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. They've been building that for 40 years and haven't really done a whole lot. So I think time has come to have some accounting. What I have here is a wonderful plan, and I want to explain to you a little bit about the synchronicities that I've had that have let me understand how we can easily do this, how we can oust these book changers. My spiritual life has been guided in a great part by what's called synchronicities. Synchronicities are, I guess you could say, mystical coincidences. Sometimes things happen in your life that just seem like that's not quite random. It's like Krishna's telling you something. So in the case of going after these book changers, in two instances, people told me to take the same law course. One was an attorney, and another was I went to buy a used dryer, and the person selling me the dryer told me to take the very same course. So I went ahead and invested the time and money and studied the course. And after that, I talked to the attorney a little bit more about the huge injustice that I see with the trustees not protecting the copyrights and not being transparent about what's happening with the money. And she explained to me that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is actually a common law trust. Just like there's common law marriages, similarly there's a type of trust that springs into existence if certain conditions are met. And she explained how the conditions were met and that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is this common law trust. So then when she was looking at the trust documents, she said when Srila Prabhupada named the beneficiary as being the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he wasn't talking about a corporation that was established in New York in 1966. No, he was actually talking about his whole movement. And we all know that, don't we? If somebody asks you, what's the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, you're probably not going to answer that it's some corporation. You're going to say it's the group of devotees that are following Srila Prabhupada's instructions and following his books and taking that to heart. That is the International Society. So with that in mind, and with the knowledge that I had gained from taking this law course, I realized it was actually a fairly simple matter, not even that uncommon, because it's quite usual for the courts to have to deal with beneficiaries who think that the trustees are misusing the property that was supposed to be used in their benefit. So I do have a plan drawn up for how the devotees can get together. It's going to take all of us, though, and we can actually unite and insist that the trustees behave in the way that Srila Prabhupada instructed in the trust document, or if not, probably even better, get new trustees who will insist that the copyrights are not changed and that the book and that the building fund is funded the way it's supposed to be. So what is the plan? Well, there is a good chance that we will end up having to file what's called a complaint in court to insist that one of the causes of action will be for an accounting, because we have, as beneficiaries, we have a right to know where, what's happening with the money, what's coming in, where it's going to. So we have a right to do that. But additionally, we will establish another cause of action by one of the beneficiaries requesting funds to be for the building fund. And if they're turned down, then at that point we will have a valid cause of action with no statute of limitations on it. It'll be starting fresh. So what we need is, we need everybody who's watching this video who considers themselves to be a disciple or a follower of Srila Prabhupada, and who is against seeing Prabhupada's words being changed, against the precedent. I mean, this is setting a precedent for the coming centuries and coming millennium. Prabhupada's books are supposed to be the law books for the next 10,000 years. And if they're already changing his words now, can you imagine in 1,000 years what the books will read like? No, we need to set a precedent that there's no changes at all. So the plan is that everybody who is watching this should think of how they can participate. If you can't do anything else, you need to send in a declaration. If we can get a good thick stack of declarations of devotees saying, yes, I am a member of Srila Prabhupada's movement, I'm a member of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to the court, this will be like when Lord Chaitanya got all the devotees together and had a big kirtan marching down to the Chankazi's palace, and just having a wonderful kirtan outside his palace caused the Chankazi's heart to change. So similarly, if we can just get enough of these declarations, that will be enough. If not, then it gives us a really good standing to get started with our complaint in court. So anyway, I am attaching this video to some various places, including a GoFundMe, because there obviously will be some money involved. Nothing in this material world is free. So another way people can help out is with money. We're also going to need webmasters. We're going to need PR people. Oh, I had a list. Anyway, I'll put that on the GoFundMe of all the different things that we're going to need to get this up and running. But the main thing is to have the enthusiasm. It's like so many people have just think, well, these terrible things happen, there's nothing we can do about it. That's called learned helplessness. They've done experiments with dogs where they've given them shocks and the dog isn't able to get out. And then even when there's no fences at all, they give the dog shots and it just sits there like, I'm not going to move because I've learned that nothing works. Well, that's not how devotees are. We now have an opportunity. There's an astrological configuration. So we actually have the time. It's the time when the truth is going to come out. And let's take advantage of this. And let's unite together and let's oust the book changers. Hare Krishna.